In today's world of YouTube and social media, influencers and creators often find themselves walking a fine line between being entertaining and crossing into obscenity. Recently, Ranveer Allahabadia, a social media influencer, found himself under investigation after making controversial comments on a YouTube show. While many are discussing the content of his comments, let's take a step back and focus on the legal side of things. As an educational platform, we'll dive deeper into understanding what makes something obscene under the Indian law, especially when it comes to online content. So, what does the law say about obscenity? Let's try to understand this first. The law surrounding obscenity has changed over the years, especially with the rise of digital content. Now, in India, Section 294 of the Indian Penal Code, which used to deal with obscenity, has now been replaced by Section 296 under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, that is BNS of 2023. This new law also focuses on electronic content, which is crucial since much of today's obscene content is shared online. Now, obscene material is anything that is excessively sexual or that could corrupt the minds of people who are exposed to it, like children or sensitive adults. So, if something falls under this definition, the law allows for punishment including up to 2 years in jail and a fine. In Ranveer's case, his comments were seen as offensive by some. But the question is, do they qualify as obscene under the Indian law? So let us try to understand what makes something obscene in the eyes of the law. See, the concept of obscenity is not as simple as just using bad words. Over time, the courts have refined what counts as obscene. The Ranjit Udeshi case of 1964, which involved the book Lady Chatterley's Lover, was a major moment in defining obscenity. The court used the Hicklin test, which said that a work is obscene if it can corrupt people who are most vulnerable, like the children or weak-minded adults. However, this standard has changed. In 2014, the Avik Sarkar case used the community standards test. This test takes into account today's social norms and what is acceptable in modern society. So instead of just looking at individual parts of a work, the community standards test judges it as a whole. And what about the online content? So when it comes to online content, things get even trickier. Now shows like India's Got Latent often blur the lines between comedy and obscenity. In March 2024, the Supreme Court ruled in the case of College Romance, a web series that faced charges for vulgar language. The court said that bad language alone does not make something obscene. It has to be about arousing sexual thoughts, which in this case the court found wasn't happening. The court also used the community standards test and decided that the language used didn't come or didn't cross the line into obscenity. Ranveer's case might be similar. His comments may have been vulgar, but do they actually make people think about sex? This is what the court will need to figure out. So for influencers and content creators like Ranveer, it's important to understand the responsibility that comes with their large following. While they have the freedom to express themselves, there's a legal line they must be aware of, especially when it comes to potentially offensive or obscene content. With platforms like YouTube having such wide access, creators need to keep in mind the impact their words can have. So what happens next? In Ranveer's case, the court will need to decide if his comments were just bad language or if they were truly obscene, which could have led to people thinking in a sexual way. The community standards test will play a big role here. If the court decides that the comments were just offensive but not obscene, then the case might not move forward. So, all in all, to conclude, as digital content grows, so do the questions about freedom of expression and obscenity. This case is just one example of how the law is trying to keep up with the fast paced world of online media. It's a reminder that while creators have the right to entertain, they also have a responsibility to ensure that content doesn't cross legal boundaries.